You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
On today's Wellness and Weight Loss Wednesday, we're going to be talking about the difference between adrenal versus thyroid versus weight loss testing and when to use which specific one, and of course the symptoms that go along with each one, so that even if you're not going to lab test, when you might have adrenal-based symptoms, when you might have thyroid-based symptoms, and of course when there might be a weight loss-based issue, which, as you'll hear me talk about, this test is far more than just about weight. It's about the whole endocrine system, which is the hormones in the body. So really, really important. And of course, all today's show notes, which means everything that we chat about on today's podcast, will be available at stephencabral.com/488. So every show from every day is always at stephencabral.com/podcasts. And then of course, there's always a link to whatever today's show is. So what I'd like to do is, before we get started, is just make sure that you know about, because at the very end of each show, sometimes I add a little tidbit, a little extra about what we're trying to offer this month, or things that I think that would be great for you to be aware of. One of those things is the bathing suit body diet. So I really want to just chat with this for about 30 seconds. And the reason is this. People have been asking about, how can I get a nutritional meal plan, a sample meal plan, something to help me lose weight, especially in the short term. So what we do in my private practice is we have two things. We have the Fatlocity Nutrition Plan, which is for beginners, and it teaches them healthy eating, and they're eating 5 times a day, so they're never, ever hungry. And then also for people looking to, they have a big event, whether it's a wedding or whether it is a day at the beach, or whether it's one of the celebrities that we work with, and then it's a red carpet event, whatever it might be. About 3 weeks before, 17 days to be specific, we have a great nutrition plan to help get them ready for that big day within less than 3 weeks. It's an amazing plan. And I'm not advertising this because it comes to you completely free this month. So you can obviously check that out for yourself at stephencabral.com/store for details. Okay, so let's get right into today's show. I think it's really, really important that we understand sometimes adrenal-based testing is absolutely what we should be doing, whereas other times we're looking at deeper thyroid issues and how the two of them interplay, as well as with toxins, to then create weight-based issues. So one of the things with adrenal fatigue is that we have to understand that adrenal-based issues can really come in 3 basic stages. The first is the alarm stage, where the body is literally so revved up. Now, you might feel great at this stage. Not a lot of people come to me when they're in the alarm stage of adrenal-based issues, because they almost feel like they can do it all. So if this sounds like you, where you're like hyped up, you need very little sleep, you can go, take on a dozen or 24 different projects, you're in the alarm stage of stress. You're in that sympathetic tone, that fight or flight. Keep in mind that you might be able to last like this for a couple months, a couple years, but then you're going to crash. The body has to stay balanced. Now, a lot of people that I'm speaking with right now, and this might be you, they've already gone through that. Yes, in college or grad school, or when they had kids, they could go through nights of no sleep. And now they're just not, that body's not that flexible. They can't keep up with that pace of life. Okay, at this point, you're typically in what's called the resistance stage of stress. So in the alarm stage, you're producing very high levels of cortisol. And that's keeping you going. That's basically pure adrenaline, norepinephrine, leading to higher levels of cortisol. Well, what happens is you start to come back down the mountain. You start to fall off. That's the resistance stage. So when you run a lab for your adrenals, and I'll talk about that lab in just a moment, you'll actually look at pretty normal cortisol levels. They look normal. But that's only because now you can't produce the same amount. You're coming back down. But what we do know happens in this stage especially is your DHEA is lower, your testosterone is lower, your progesterone is lower, and your estrogen levels, well, sometimes those are lower or stay the same. And this is what causes a lot of estrogen dominance in women, because especially progesterone, DHEA, and testosterone go down. So you lose a lot of the hormones that give you the drive, the ambition, the get up and go, the high libido, the good stamina. All of those things get pushed to the wayside because your body is now becoming depleted. It's already stressed. It's still stressed. Just because it can't produce as much cortisol doesn't mean it's still not stressed. It is. You're still in that fight or flight. Your body's just becoming exhausted. So it has to take and it has to allocate hormone from other areas. And that's from DHEA and testosterone, which are those alpha hormones that both men and women need. Without a doubt, both men and women need those for that drive, that ambition, that get up and go, that want to get more out of life, for the good, strong libido, for all of those things. And when you start to get super stressed, your body shuttles more hormone over to cortisol. And it does that for a very specific reason. Your body needs cortisol to get out of that fight or flight, to keep you going, to keep you in survival-based mode, keep you alive, but it doesn't need the other sex hormones. That's one of the biggest issues. It's also one of the biggest issues with fertility, or infertility, we should say, or estrogen dominance, which is the chin acne, the cheek acne, the bloating during certain periods of the month, the more irritability, the water retention, especially the 5 to 7 days before a woman gets her period, day 1 of menstruation. That's really important. And you can test for this. It's called an adrenal hormone test. We'll link it up in the show notes. It's very simple. It's 4 tubes of saliva. That's it. 4 tubes of saliva. Very easy. When you wake up in the morning, before lunch, you can just take it to work and put it right in your pocket. Mid-afternoon, around 3 or 4 p.m., and then before bed. And what you want to see is a larger cortisol spike in the morning, and then it just starts to come down naturally throughout the day. And that's called a diurnal rhythm. I talk about this all the time. If you want to live a long, healthy life, your diurnal rhythm has to be in proper alignment. That means high in the morning, almost 0 at night. And that's because you need your melatonin being produced and upped at night. The body works in, again, a diurnal rhythm. High energy during the day, low energy at night. Go to bed. Go to bed when it starts to get dark. Melatonin starts to become high at night, and then it becomes low in the morning. Your body is always on this seesaw. It's always teetering back and forth. That's how it works. That is how your body stays literally between a stage of catabolism, breaking down, and then building back up. It can't always be breaking down, which is the adrenal-based stress. And the final stage of that adrenal stage is called adrenal exhaustion, or true adrenal fatigue. And that's when your body is not producing adequate levels of cortisol. And not then are you just tired, you're wiped out, you're exhausted, your immune system is low, you literally are just apathetic. You used to be like I used to be when I had Addison's disease, which is the lowest of the low. I mean, that's an actual disease state. And again, air quotes with a dash between dis and ease, is your body can't mount a survival response. You're just totally wiped out. And that's why, for me, couldn't walk up a flight of stairs without my heart rate just pounding to 160 beats per minute, just walking up a flight of stairs, one flight of stairs. So when people say like, oh, is that really true that you had to lie down after a flight of stairs? Yes. When I was in my home, I couldn't go from the first floor to the second floor without literally lying down because my heart felt like it was pounding through my chest. And also, I would get sick all the time. I would get pneumonia every winter. I would get all these, sinus congestions, sinus infections. My body was weak. I would have to literally think about forming sentences because I had so much brain fog and fatigue. So that's when you know you're at the bottom. And again, there's all sorts of different levels of gray in between. And that's why you can test for that. Okay. Now with thyroid testing is a little different. So why would you thyroid test? Well, here's the thing. If you have a sluggish metabolism, that low metabolic rate, that lowered body temperature, cold hands and feet pretty much all the time, starting to get maybe some thinning hair, dry skin. Remember, I did a whole show. I've done many shows on low thyroid. Check those out as well. But if you feel like you have those symptoms of low thyroid, then running a thyroid-based test is essential. Here's why. When you get your annual blood work done with your PCP, which is also essential, don't get me wrong, that's essential, and your TSH is not between 0.5 and 2.5, meaning that's optimal, then your thyroid's starting to get out of range. Now, on your blood work, it will say 0.5 or 0.45 to 5. Now, a just conventional medicine doctor will consider a 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5 all normal. They'll consider those okay, but they're not. Those are not optimal thyroid functioning. That's not perfect, which means we want perfect. Why not? Why not strive for perfection? Why not? Especially if you're someone who is more prone, especially that endomorphic body type with that sluggish body type, that sluggish metabolism, you need that thyroid somewhere between 1 and 2, ideally, or 1 and 2.5 at the max. That's going to keep that metabolism up, keep the blood circulating, the metabolism going. All those things are essential for your thyroid. Now, when testing your thyroid, we do a very comprehensive panel. This is why even if you have normal TSH, sometimes you still want to test thyroid because you could find that you have an issue with conversion from TSH, which is just thyroid stimulating hormone. That means nothing. Remember, it's not usable. You need to convert it down to T4. And then about 80% of all usable thyroid is T3. So at least 70%. So we need to make sure that thyroid that's made in those cells, T3, is at a high enough level. And that's why we do a simple blood spot test at home, which means you're just given a card. You put drops of blood from a little finger poke, one poke, that's it, on this card. And you're going to find out very, very simply, very straightforward, within 3 weeks, we send you the lab results. You get a health coaching call with our health coach, all included, lowest possible prices. And again, you don't have to do them through us. If you have a functional medicine doctor, what I'm telling you is this: request these. That's what it's all about. My goal is to share information with you and then share with you online exactly what we do in our practice, so that if you and I don't ever meet, we don't ever speak on Skype, whatever it might be, because that's not always a possibility, that you get all of this for yourself, that you get the plan. Remember, I review all the labs that come across my desk, even if I'm not the one doing the call. My team of health coaches are doing that. But I want to tell you what to look for. So again, you're working with another health coach or another doctor, great. Have them run this. So it's T4, it's TSH, it's free T4, it's free T3, it's thyroid globulins, I want you to look for this thing that's called TPO, okay? So just plain and simple, TPO is what you're going to request. And those are the antibodies that might show you if you may have an autoimmune issue like Hashimoto's. Remember, Hashimoto's is not a death sentence for your thyroid. It can be reversed. It can be overcome. People have done it in the past. You can too, as long as your thyroid hasn't been destroyed, which a lot of times it's not. But also, with this comprehensive thyroid profile, you're also going to look at your iodine levels. You're going to look at your bromine or bromide levels. You're going to look at selenium, arsenic. You're going to look at cadmium. You're going to look at a lot of the things that when they become toxic, obviously not selenium or iodine, you need those for great functioning thyroid. That's why we run them. If your iodine levels are too low, selenium levels are too low, well, your thyroid's not going to function properly. That's why we lab test, okay? But what if you have high levels of cadmium? That can actually cause an autoimmune issue as well as lower thyroid. You may never know that if you don't run a hair tissue mineral analysis or you don't run a thyroid-based test like this one. Okay. So now that I have my voice back and we're looking at this thyroid test, really, it's a great, great lab for anyone that's ever been dealing with thyroid issues in the past, but maybe their PCP, MD, conventional medicine doctor said, well, you know, your blood work looks okay, but you know that there's most likely a thyroid-based issue. That's when you run a functional medicine test like this one. Okay, I'll link up to it in the show notes. Again, just StephenCabral.com/488. Don't even worry about should I purchase it from my website or not. Remember, that's not what today's all about. You can click on the link. You can look through the lab. You can see exactly what we run. And then you can decide to run it with your naturopath. Maybe it's a DO or another doctor you're working with. And that's great as well. Whatever works for you. What I want to do is give you the option to take control of your own health. Remember, if you don't take control of your own health, who else is going to? Doctors are so time crunched. You know, even myself as well. Like I do weekly progress reports, not only with my team, of course, when they have questions, I'm doing that every day, but with the people that I work with. But you need to be working with you on a daily basis. And if you're working with the PCP, they can't really help you at all because they're not trained in this part of it. So really what I want you to do is just simply take control of your own health, know what matters, know how to fix your adrenals, know how to fix your thyroid. And the last one I want to explain is when to do this comprehensive weight loss test. Now, again, it's not even, I hate to call it just a weight loss test. Yes, it is so comprehensive, the most comprehensive test for why you can't lose weight. But really what it is, it's a combination of the adrenal test and the thyroid test. The only thing you're not getting are all the urine-based markers for your iodine, selenium, cadmium, those types of things. What you're looking at, though, all your cortisol levels, all 4 times during the day, right? Upon waking, lunchtime, mid-afternoon, before bed. You're looking at your DHEA, your testosterone, your progesterone, your estrogen. Why? Because if you have high cortisol, you're going to start adding body fat. If you have low cortisol, your body has no drive, no get up and go, no ability to really boost that metabolism. Has to be balanced. Okay, with thyroid, why does that matter? Well, here's the thing too. If your adrenal glands are pumping full blast, they're going to shut down your thyroid in 2 places. TSH conversion to T4 and T4 conversion to active T3, or T3 gets converted to reverse T3. You have to have optimized thyroid adrenal glands in order for your thyroid to function properly. I can't tell you the amount of people I've helped in my practice with thyroid-based issues simply by balancing their adrenal function, meaning their HPA axis. It's totally changed their life and it's fixed their thyroid, because upstream from the thyroid is the adrenals. They are actually a touch more important than the thyroid, because thyroid is almost like the little brother that gets picked on, to give you a crude analogy. Because if the adrenals are not functioning properly, you're in survival mode, it shuts down metabolism. Your thyroid operates metabolism in a large part. Okay, so with weight loss testing, we're also looking at we're looking at the TSH, T4, T3, and we're looking at those antibodies as well, the TPO. But with weight loss testing, this test, which is honestly, it's one of my favorites, you know what? It is a little expensive, but you get what you pay for. This is so comprehensive. It looks at vitamin D. You can't optimally lose weight and keep the weight off. This is for weight maintenance as well, if your vitamin D levels are not optimized. And then it looks at blood sugar and insulin. Really, really important. How are you supposed to burn body fat if your blood always has sugar in it, right? If you don't get down to those optimal levels below 95. That's why I talk about the glucometer a lot. If your fasting glucose when you wake up is not 75 to 95, if you don't see that little readout on the glucometer, you're not going to be tapping into body fat when you're sleeping, and you should be tapping into an immense amount of body fat from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. if you're following my 12-hour overnight fast after dinner to when you wake up. 6 to 6, 8 to 8, somewhere in there for longevity as well as optimal body transformation. So those are the 3 labs. Now, of course, I've done entire presentations, an hour long in each one for health practitioners. We're not going to do that today. I hope that I gave you a good breakdown of when to choose between these 3 labs. Adrenals, when the body's exhausted. But again, low thyroid, you start to feel exhausted as well. But adrenal, when there's that anxiety, when there's a brain fog, when there's all those things that go together. And then thyroid specifically, especially if you've tested out of that 0.5 to 2.5 on your blood work. But what I like to say is, when in doubt, if possible, it's $100 more, but it's so worth it if you can do the weight loss testing. Now, again, if you don't need to lose weight, get the whole thought about weight loss testing out of your mind. I don't know why it's called that, but it is, and if you do have to lose weight, well, this is obviously the most comprehensive test for it. But weight loss testing, this weight management test, is for the thyroid function, the adrenal function, vitamin D, and your blood sugar levels. It's so amazing. Really amazing lab. All 3 of these are great. Decide what works best for you. Or one of the reasons why I do these shows is not every show might be geared to you, but maybe it's right for a loved one. And so what I'm recommending right now is that you pass this information on to anyone you feel it could help. Thank you everyone for tuning in. And of course, for more details, just go to stevencabral.com/488 and I will link up all 3 of those individual tests and you'll be able to decide for yourself what may be best for you. And then we'll also on those pages show you sample labs of other people who have run it so that you can get to see the actual information in detail for what you'll be able to see as well. Take care, everyone. And of course, if there's any questions, always do let me know.
Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.